What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Risk Valor. I'm your host, Alyssa, and today I'm here with my friend, Anna Isabel Hume. This woman is dynamic. She is multi-talented. She's studying for her PhD. She's writing a book. She's a competitive bodybuilder, broadcast journalist, and honestly, the list could go on. Importantly, she is a huge advocate for women and for veterans. So without further ado, Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Alyssa. I'm really excited to be here and
Course.
share whatever you ask me. I'm ready.
Of course. So some of our conversations really talked about individualism. And I know that's something that you really have in your soul found a purpose in, that finding your individualism for women specifically. So kind of take us on that journey of how you came to realize how important that is.
Absolutely. So I was an Army wife for a few years, actually, over a decade.
Yeah, just a few.
So just a few, a few deployments to just a few, six.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I was with him through four, though, so I wasn't with him through the first two.
Okay.
So something I noticed very early on is maintaining that individualism, like you said, because our husbands are continuing, like they deploy a lot, and we're back at home with our kids, or some of us without family. So I stayed in every duty station. I never came back home, whether it was New York, Georgia, Washington State. I always stayed there for the better part of it. And so I just realized I had never stopped going to school. I didn't have kids like a lot of these young wives. And something I always say is, we have to be prepared, because a lot of our husbands don't come back home, but when they do, I feel they don't fully come back home. So it's very important to keep those passions that you've always had and never stop them, because you never know what's going to happen, and then you're left alone with nothing. So if there's one thing I continuously try to express to these young wives, is to not stop going to school, not stop working out. And both you and I are bodybuilders, and we know what that does to our mental health. So if we have that, that is the core of us. Like, training, because if we look good, we feel good, but what
Yes.
it does to our mind is a completely different thing. I always say what it does to my mind is like the cherry on top of the ice cream. We don't just come out like having a great body. No, we're mentally strong now and physically strong, so that says a lot. So yeah, so I'm writing a book to help military wives through the various transitions, through the pre-deployment, during the deployments, and the post-deployment, because
Yeah.
it's not just while they're deployed, it's everything. It's the anxiety before, it's being scared during the deployments, and then when they come back home, the reintegration. And I think that's even a longer process than anything.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I know you mentioned training, and obviously that's one of the big things that we agree on a lot. We actually talked offline about it and how important it is to our lives. So, how has bodybuilding for you been that outlet? Because I know for me, it's therapy is literally what I say. So how would you say that that's really shaped kind of your, maybe was that part of your healing process, or it's still a part of your today
Right.
life? So it kind of explain that.
It's very interesting that you said, was that part of my healing process,
Yeah.
because I've been divorced now for 5 years,
Yep.
and I will never speak ill of my ex-husband, although we're not friends now. We parted ways for many different
Hmm.
reasons. I always say the wounds of war were greater than the love we had for each other.
I
And you understand that.
Yes, I do. 100%.
Yeah, so the PTSD, both ways, because military wives suffer something called secondary PTSD. So that in itself, I never really realized the pain during my marriage, but then after my marriage, the pain was even greater. So I always say it's not the pain that matters, is what you do with that pain. I actually became a bodybuilder in 2020. So it was already 3 years or 2 years into the divorce.
Yep.
And I did that because of COVID, not for any other reason. It's because of isolation. Many people were depressed. Everything was closed. There was nothing to do. So I started drinking wine and eating tapas. I'm Spanish. So I'm like, okay, something's
Love
got to
tapas.
change here. Tapas, right?
Yes.
Every night I would make my
Hmm.
own tapas.
I know. Hey.
Oh my goodness. I know a few months in, I'm like, okay, something's got to change. So I hired an online coach, and then I started helping individuals that felt isolated and that felt, depressed and stuff like that. And it healed me to find healing in others, which was very interesting,
That
because
is.
I did it for myself. But then when I would get a lot of like messages saying, thank you so much. You're helping me through it. All your posts motivate me. You're working out on your balcony. You're doing weights in your living room. Like I would post everything I was doing to help others. So 3 years in, 2 shows every year. And what we were saying off the record, I just picked one up now in September. I'm going to compete. God willing, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
You're gonna do
So,
amazing.
right. Oh God. So I just told my coach I was, but I forgot the original question. But becoming a bodybuilder
Yes.
has
That's okay.
really helped me mentally. So, and it also has helped me because when you're sad and you were with someone for such a long time, to get back into the dating scene, it's like, are you kidding me? So you want to like bend the rules from what you originally like were all about. Like, okay, no sex for 3 months, So you
Yeah.
start bending those rules to cater to others. But becoming a bodybuilder, I'm like, because I did that for 2 years past, you know what I mean? So like for 2 years I was
Yep.
dating, and I'm like, something's not working here. No,
Hmm.
no, 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 no. Let's go back to basics.
Yeah.
And it just made me very mentally strong where I put up with nothing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
I
go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. Yeah, no, I was gonna say there's something about digging deeper. And that's something in the military they always said, like you got to dig deep. And I think the military taught me that, but transitioning out, it was a very tough transition. Much like a spouse probably deals with when they transition out. You're losing that camaraderie and that family feel. But I would say with bodybuilding, it was that strength that you had to eat right, to train when you didn't want to train, because motivation is a fleeting thing. It's discipline, it's dedication to the goal, it's dedication to yourself. And I think that's what helped me through that tough time, because like you, 2020 was the time that, I competed for the first time. And we were very lucky, I would say, or blessed, that we live in states where things open back up. There's a lot of people out there where their states were closed for a very long time, or countries, to gyms. And it's like, I remember having to work out in my living room with like my son's like tricycle at the time. I was using that to do like bridges, like bridge push-ups.
Oh,
Like I was doing anything to find creative ways to work out. And I know there's a lot of people like, I just can't because there's no gym, or I don't have anything at home. I'm like, so I bet you have something to say on that.
oh yeah, no, absolutely. Because I started in May, and I worked with the government at the time, so it was government shutdown, like I mentioned. So I ordered a bunch of things online, a little mini stair stepper, $60 on Amazon,
Yep.
and I used that in the balcony for my cardio 2 times, 45 minutes, morning and night, and then in the middle, in between lunch, because I worked from home, so I still had a schedule.
Yep.
I'd weight train. I would strap dumbbells with like a rope around my ankles to do leg press, not leg
Oh,
press,
wow.
leg extensions.
Oh my goodness.
You had to get creative. I'm sorry. When there's
Hmm.
a will, there's a way. Don't give me any excuses. I do not care. Like, and it's funny because it took my sisters 3 years because I would push them. Don't tell me about time. I know you have 3 kids. Strap them to your back. I don't care. Do what.
Hmm.
Do whatever you have to do. And
Yeah.
now, finally, both of them are really working out. First, they ask why, and then they ask how. I
Yeah.
how did you do it? And it's that simple. Like now, I'm training. Actually, one of the army wives that I became close friends with in upstate New York, she reached
Wow.
out to me 2 weeks ago. She goes, "Okay, I need your help," but she just had a kid. She, runs with her kid on the stroller.
Hmm.
She, like what I did, like she straps things to her ankles. She gets super creative. I don't
Yep.
care if you get a gallon of water for bicep curls. Hey.
It's something. We have a lot of crap around our house, like our homes. I was using a cooler for step ups.
Yeah. You see? Exactly. It doesn't matter. And I competed on my first show in October. So, and then again in November. And yeah, it doesn't matter.
And like my first show, I know I looked insane because I'd never stuck to a diet in my life. Like I was eating decent, but never to the point of like watching macros or even knowing how to count it. I was like, I never have to do that. And then the competition world kind of introduced me to this different way. I saw a six pack for the first time in my life. I was never overweight, but I never had seen my body train. I didn't even know I was capable of doing that. And that was bikini. When I went to wellness the following year, my body changed even more. And I was amazed by what it could do. So some people, I would assume, or some women would not find competing maybe their style of therapy or finding their individualism, which is 100% okay. So in like your history with working with other women who are like, well, the gym's not really for me, because I do truly believe that if you don't find enjoyment in the pain of the gym, I guess you could say, or that dedication, then you need to find something that you can really put your heart and soul into. And I realized that when I was trying to train people online, a lot, if you were not committed to that or didn't even enjoy any kind of working out, it was very difficult to work with them. So I don't know if you've come across something similar where you had to help them pull that passion from them, perhaps.
Yes. So uh I it's difficult to say because I do
Mm-hmm.
have a friend that just does not enjoy the gym. She says she
Yep.
doesn't like it. And I
Yeah.
said then how do you expect to look the way you want to look?
Yeah.
I am very tough. You know, I could only imagine how you are. I've had very tough coaches. You
Yeah.
know, coaches have made me cry. It's true. You know, when they expect you to look a certain way, well, did I cheat? Of course I did, because I'm not looking the way you want me to look.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes
Like, no.
"Ah, I didn't eat that muffin. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?"
There's cameras.
Yeah, exactly. But it's very tough for me to help somebody that doesn't enjoy the gym. I just say, please just try it out. You know, the reason why, I'm sorry, let me take this back. And now I
Yeah.
just remembered the reason why a lot of women don't like the gym is because they don't feel comfortable at the gym. They don't know some of the things to do. They're scared they look stupid. You know, are they, you know, lifting enough weights? So I always say, just go in there, try, put on your headphones, pretend the world doesn't exist. It's your time. It's you're in
Mm-hmm.
your zone. Listen to whatever music you want. I listen to heavy metal while I'm weightlifting, and you're just in your world. Forget about anyone else. Even if you're lifting 3 pounds for bicep curls, it doesn't matter. Every day you get stronger.
Absolutely.
Just try it out. And you know, I just try it out. Don't say that no, you're not going to like it or you don't like it. Try it out again. Do it again.
Yeah, and I have a couple points on that too. Is like I think all of us go through that at least one point where we're like, oh my God, everyone's judging me. Like
Yes.
if I take a picture of myself or if I do this thing wrong, for the most part, I want to say no one gives a fuck. If you're in there, it's like, hey, that's lapping half the people, you know, not doing anything. Like unless you're disturbing someone's workout, like no one really cares. And then the second point is, you know, you are doing it for yourself. Like wear the cute outfit. Like maybe incentivize you if dressing cute is like what you want to do, cool. You're
Do
gonna
it.
meet new people. For
Yeah.
me, working out in a gym, I see other people that inspire me, like, wow, that person has like great lats, or this person has like really cap shoulders, or like I've never seen that workout before. I'm going to try it my next. How many people have come up to me and told me, wow, I'm going to try that next time? Or like, you know, I've actually made friends shake their hand and like, what are you doing and why are you doing that? Why are you elevating your heels while you do goblet squats? Well, here you go. Now you're having a conversation, you're making a friend and you're making an impact. You didn't even realize like you're teaching someone something. So to me, that's like, it validates in a sense like the hard work that you're putting in. You're like, wow, someone's actually like noticing. Like there's days where I'm like, oh my God, I look horrible, I don't want to be here. And like I look so different than when I was competing. I wonder if people just think I look horrible now. And a lot of, I think we're so hard on ourselves. And especially if you're first starting out, it can be so difficult. But like you said, just give it a shot, because guess what? That dream body of yours is not going to come overnight. It's not going to come in 4 weeks. It is a gradual change, depending on how much you're trying to change.
Exactly.
So I don't
Exactly.
know.
And it's so true. And like, you think I want to wake up and fast cardio for 45 minutes? Of course not.
I'd rather eat a sock.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the thing is, it's discipline over motivation is going to win every time. Just, you got to do it. Just do it. Just don't think about it. Just do it.
I know,
That's
and I think people look past the whole well, it's a gym, like that's your thing. Like, no, honestly, do you want to live long? Do you want, not even just looking good? Because I know some of us, like, we do, I appreciate aesthetics. I want to look good.
yeah.
For my own confidence, especially since I know I can do it, it keeps me in check. But I mean, like, for others, it's a longer life. Do you want to see, it's our health, it's learning about nutrition, it's just movement in general is so important. If people added a 15-minute walk to whatever they did all day, every day, it makes a huge difference. Oh.
Absolutely. Walk your dogs, power walk, uh,
Mhm.
take your kids on strollers, like but every day, well, at least like 5 times a week. I say three is too little.
Yeah. Three's a
Three's
little number.
Yeah, I think like between 4 and 5. I shoot for 5 personally. So for cardio and weight training.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good number.
Yeah. I know. And it's healthy for me. And you know, like at work now, I inspire others too to weight train and do cardio, and I love to see that. And I don't really like to talk so much about bodybuilding at work. For some reason, it's just, I don't know. But if they ask me questions, I'll answer. And then when I notice that they're doing it more, I'm like, oh, I've inspired them.
Yeah, no, and I can say the same thing. So I'm at my shop now where I work. It's like it's all men. I'm the only female. But the customers always make a joke about, oh, is it like a prerequisite to like work out if you work here? Because a lot of the guys, like, we do have that in common. So it's super funny. But like, I had a guy actually today asking about, like, well, what am I supposed to do for like meals? Like, it's amazing to me how much information is out there on the internet, or just coaches and people, but there's so much, there's a lack of knowledge on just living a healthier lifestyle. Like, one of my employees who's overweight, he was asking about nutrition today because he was having stomach problems and other things. And I'm like, here's where it comes into play too, where, he was having back problems from going to the gym, and all he did was go on the treadmill. I'm like,
Oh,
that's all he said he did. And I'm like, hey, that's because you got to start slow. You can't just jump into something huge, but also there's going to be pain because your body hasn't done that movement probably, or that much, in a very long time.
exactly.
So
Muscle.
I know. So it's crazy, but people, like, we're inspiring everyday, encounters, so to speak. And I think that's cool enough. I'm like, I like that people ask me. I'm like, I was never the athlete growing up. So being asked about like what I do, I'm like, me?
Yes, that's so funny. I love that you say that because I don't know.
Yeah.
Another reason, I guess, what highlighted me becoming a bodybuilder is I had brain surgery when I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
It's hydrocephalus, is too much water in the brain. Those babies that are born with big heads, I wasn't born with it. At 11 years old, I developed a brain tumor that blocked those
Wow.
ventricles, CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. So then they placed a shunt in my entire body. And when I cut to compete, you see that shunt crystal clear. So a lot of people think it's a vein. It's
Oh,
a powerful vein. I get it a lot. They're like, shit, that vein looks awesome. I'm like, no, it's not a vein. It's like, I say it's like a little straw with water because it drips down water all the way to the abdomen. But
wow.
I also have helped empower women and men. It doesn't matter your physical disability. Like, judges, when you're on stage, don't really, they just look at the muscle definition. They don't care if
Mm-hmm.
I have a shunt, if I have something sticking out. It doesn't matter because
Mm-hmm.
it's the muscle definition. So, I mean, yeah, you see it crystal clear. And actually, that's helped me a little bit too because I was a little self conscious of it, and it
Yeah.
just shined through like, who cares? I don't care. And
You
not
see,
anymore.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about adversity because I know that we had talked about that, and that's something that I feel like more and more in our culture, at least nowadays, there are a lot of people coming out of the woodworks with different disabilities or what they think are, different hurdles that not everyone has to deal with, that are shining and coming through with these talents, and they're trying and they're doing different things. And I think that's so important. Again, individualism. They're finding who they are. So I don't know. There's like I don't know, you say bridging a gap, but and then maybe it's a cultural gap. Like we're at this place now where we're evolving into, just I don't know, less judgment.
Yeah.
It's and I love it.
With the military world. So my main goal is to bridge the military community with the civilian community. I feel that there is such a huge disconnect. And although I didn't serve in the military, I was a liability. I tried.
Yeah.
My brain surgery. I'm like, oh, so I tried every single branch. Air Force, Navy was going to take me in as a wife, as not as a nurse, and I said no
Yeah.
way. I don't like that field at all. Thank you to
Yeah.
everyone that serves as a nurse, but I
It's the
can't see
blood, right? Yeah.
yes, the blood. I can't. I'm like, no, no, no. Okay, so yeah, so just bridging that gap, and we've talked before on this, like, with our past military lives going into regular jobs. So I was always a breaking news photojournalist in different states, right? So it was always a military community.
Hmm.
So everyone understood that culture. And here it's very difficult in Miami. In Miami, it's very difficult. And being the Miami ambassador for the Wounded Veterans Relief Fund, which I volunteer for that. And I also volunteer for Irreverent Warriors, which you do as well.
Yep.
And I have them on my show, A Day in Miami. So more and more people are understanding what veterans are, and what they've gone through. And we're not normal people. I say not normal. We are more hardcore. We don't put up with bullshit. It's because you guys are trained differently. Like, do it, it's done. No complaining. I just feel in this culture, people complain and
Yeah.
constantly have like attitudes for no reason. It's like, I don't know. I don't like the petty stuff. And I realize there's a lot of pettiness and a lot of, Miami jobs that I've had in the past. So,
I can only imagine. And I think the culture too is very complain. I mean, I'm trying to hire people right now, right? Nobody wants to work.
oh,
Everybody wants to get paid though. That's the difference, but nobody wants to do the work. And I think that's like something that goes to any asset of your life. It's like, oh, we all want to reap the rewards, or we want to get to something. We want to get to the mountaintop, but we're not willing to climb. We're not willing to do what it takes. Whether that's like, that was just my little that's my little segue for nothing, I guess. I
no,
just
no,
had to
no.
say it.
I
It
know.
inspired me to say that. I'm like, it really is a cultural thing right now.
Yeah.
It's
It's
wild.
like people feel entitled to things. Like,
Yeah.
it's so funny. I had a show with a London designer. It was a shoe designer. And the first thing that he said, it was like at 3 p.m., all these beautiful women that are there. I was a news reporter. Maybe I was considered as one of the beautiful women, but I was a
Definitely.
news reporter. Yeah, there's a lot of what we call influencers. And he's like, dude, does anybody work in Miami?
Oh my gosh.
I was cracking up because I looked around the room. I'm like, this is so true. It's so funny. So, yeah, nobody wants to work. Everybody wants to get paid to do nothing. I enjoy working. Now,
Hmm.
if I leave a job, is because I've served my purpose, and no longer am I growing. If I'm not constantly growing, I need out because I feel suffocated. I feel bored. I need to constantly be creating things. So working with a lot of different sports teams here in Miami. I represent High Alive, an ancient sport, the world's fastest ball sport. And I just enjoy it because it's always something new.
Yeah.
And, and I do love sports. I see myself doing a lot of different sports stuff, in the near future, or military. For now, I'm in a marketing agency, which we deal with a lot of restaurants and different stuff. But I really do think I'm going to hone in the like the sports world, maybe military sports. I don't know. We'll see.
They have that. They also have military gaming. So if you're ever interested in
Like,
gaming, they do like actual gaming, like the military sponsors people to do game.
what?
I'm not even kidding. I thought it was made up. That's real.
Oh my God.
It's after my time, but yeah. Or maybe it wasn't. I just never knew. But someone I forgot. There's someone I'm mutual contacts with that like gets paid by the army to play games. Because I mean,
How
everything is
interesting.
big. It's and that's marketing too, in a
Yeah,
sense. You know,
I'm gonna look at
it's
that. It could be one of my clients. That's interesting.
it's very interesting. So I mean, that's another little
Yeah,
thing
for
to. I'm like, dang, I wish I was a gamer. I would have done that. That would have been
yeah.
great.
I could be
I'll
a
do fake war.
You like gaming?
I used to, I used to do the whole Xbox thing, even as a young lieutenant, but I got out of that as soon as I was like married with a kid. Like, I mean, PlayStation 2 was very new when I was a kid, and now they've like graduated. I mean, everything has gone from like, I remember an iPhone being created to like, here we are, and I'm like, AI is freaking making thoughts for me.
It's crazy.
So I mean,
Seriously.
like, it's been a big jump in not even 20 years. I'm like, that is crazy.
It's true. The last
Yeah.
games I played was like Sega Genesis Sonic, I think.
Yeah. I'm like, I remember Nintendo 64, like
Ah,
007, the cheat codes, like
I've always liked shooting. I knew as a kid,
yeah.
I'm like, I need to do something with guns.
And
And
Medal of Honor was my thing. Yeah.
oh, really?
Yeah, on PlayStation 2, that was like my game.
That's
Um, but
oh,
before I forget, I know I was going to say something about what you had said about when you stop feeling a passion or something stops challenging you. And I know you left or you're a former government employee. I think those two have a hand together, like maybe
yes. Oh, yeah.
expound on that.
Yeah, which I can talk about it and I'm not going to get in trouble.
Yeah,
Longer
crazy.
it
Mm-hmm.
is. So I worked as the public information officer for the state attorney. Basically, I was the PR for the DA of Miami-Dade
Yeah.
County, overlooking 35 municipalities. So I represented Key Biscayne, Miami Beach, downtown Miami, and a few other cities. Miami Lakes was one of them. Aventura, not Miami Lakes, I'm so sorry, and a few other cities. So basically, my job was also community outreach,
Okay.
to educate the public on what is domestic violence, human trafficking. Who do you call? You know what I mean? If this happens to you, what do you do? So I really enjoyed my time. I love the state attorney of Miami-Dade County. I worked with her very well, but just they didn't allow me to do side things. If that
Yeah.
now, let me kind of take that back. They allowed me to be a bodybuilder, which
Yep.
was great. But they had an issue with me being a combat sports journalist because it incited violence. So I did that for a few months and I got called into HR. They're like, I said, journalism is my passion. Fighting is my passion, you
Mhm.
know, not me personally. Well, kind of, yes, me personally too, but we won't go
Besides the
there.
point.
Yeah, I love boxing as well, but I just reported or, post game, how do you say, post game interviews at matches, bare knuckle boxing. And so I expressed to them if they understood the sport, this is a professional sport that is legal in Florida. Yeah, when I got called to HR because bare knuckle boxing became an issue for them because it incited violence with the state attorney, I expressed to them, do you understand who these professional boxers are?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are, I mean, we are all about second chances at the state attorney's office, is meaning we will hire people that have had, prior records, depending, So I said, these boxers were either former drug addicts, ex-convicts, who knows? Some of them are not, you
Mm-hmm.
know but to become a bare knuckle boxer, the fact that they changed their lives for a professional sport, that should mean so much. So for me to be told to stop doing something that I am so passionate about. Because, all right, viewers, don't take this personally. I've interviewed many athletes, many famous people, many amazing, intelligent people, doctors, name it. But there's no other feeling than interviewing a bare knuckle boxer after a boxing match. There's their energy just transcends into, to me, it's insane. Like, they're all bloody, they just finished a fight. And I guess I enjoy it because I was, married to military for such a long time.
Yeah.
It's like they believe in the same thing. You fight to the death.
Yeah. I mean, that's powerful too. I mean, these people, like you said, come from backgrounds where they're adversity. Maybe they grew up in a rough place. Maybe that's all they were exposed to. And I like the whole idea of like I mean, this is their second chance and they're trying to do better with it. Yeah, it might be violent in some way, but I mean, I bet they found, I mean, it's not like the other person wasn't also doing the same thing. It's not like
Exactly. It's a
it's a
legal,
sport.
it's a legal professional sport. Exactly. So, I mean, I didn't argue about it. Working in government, you do what you're told, and then you have to make a decision. So
Yeah.
my decision was to
Mhm.
leave. I gave my 4 weeks resignation, and everybody thought I lost my mind. Everyone, because they didn't give me an ultimatum, but they gave me an ultimatum. So
Oh.
yeah, of course, that's how the government
Mhm.
works. So I let it ride for a few months, and then I realized, no, I'm unhappy. I have too much passion to just be 100% government. I can't do it. It's not in me. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I had an opportunity, and I took it. I became a public relations communications manager, as I was saying, and now I've been exposed to so many different things. I was with the Miami Marlins, and like my baby, the Highlight, which is
Yeah.
my team, and just so many different things. And it's okay to take risks. Obviously the benefits are not like the government benefits. I don't think anybody can compare to that, but that's not what's going to keep me.
No, about to say you probably took a pay cut, I'm assuming.
Oh, I took a huge pay cut. Absolutely. I took a huge pay cut, and it's okay because I'm already making more money than I was with the state attorney, but it took 5 months to get there. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm doing side reporting jobs. People from New York are asking me to be their host for this and that. And I'm like, what? How did you find me?
Yeah,
A
that's
day?
awesome.
Yeah. So everything I get commission out of it and stuff like that too, because it's out of my salary hours. Do I work a lot more? Sure. But am I a lot happier? Yes. And that's all that matters.
And I was gonna say sometimes chasing that passion, which is why I'm also starting this, is that I'm chasing a part of my passion to figure out the bigger picture. Because we don't all know what that is, but you have to take some risk. And a lot of the story behind why I named it Risk Valor, I mean,
Love
I
it.
guess it's kind of obvious, but you got to take risks to reach that goal, to get that. There's no, success without the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it. So that's kind of like the behind this, story of why I called it Risk Valor. And that can be applicable to anything you're trying to, embark on.
It's
But
true. And I have so much
mhm,
respect and so much honor for all the attorneys and all the police officers that I worked
absolutely.
with for so many years. Sometimes, you just got to part ways with things, and that's okay. Some people stay in their jobs for 20 years and
They're unhappy.
happy. I would never do that. I'd rather cut my foot off, honestly, than be
Yeah.
unhappy.
And I think a lot of people struggle with that. I mean, even I have to graduate high school, then go to college for a degree that maybe at 20, I don't even know what I want to do, which I didn't. I just knew I was joining the military, which I thought I was going to do for 20 years. And then it turns out life happened, things happen. That's what happens in life. You have kids, you get married, you do other things. A host of other things can happen and challenges come your way and you have to overcome and adapt. And I mean, if I were to go back, you know, 5 years now ago when I was in the military, it's or 4 years ago, and think that I was going to be here now doing something like this or being an influencer or starting a podcast, talking to amazing women and being inspired. never would have guessed it, because I was the trajectory was just, this is what you do. Schools, at least in the United States, train you to be employees forever. That's what it is, unless you got parents that, or people that you look up to that are doing other things. And I get inspired by the women I talk to, especially, like you, all these other women, they have these great stories where they overcome adversity. They're chasing what sets them on fire. And I think that's so important to share, because it's so hard for some of us and other women to find that fire, to think that we can do it, you know?
Absolutely. That you say that, to chase that passion and take that risk. I actually taught at Florida International University and Columbus State University up in Georgia, and I taught public speaking, business communication, and I kind of had to stop that while I'm doing my PhD. I can't do all of it, you know. Being a professor takes a lot of time, so I always did that like on the side as well. But I kind of want to go back now when I'm done with my PhD in December and really educate them on a whole different perspective when it comes to journalism, you know, because I always thought Channel 7 News when I worked with them, you know, Azteca 48, which is like Univision Telemundo, but in Spanish.
Okay.
And, you know, I was always like news reporter, news anchor, you know, but no, there's so many other ways. Social media is the way of the world. I have to turn down jobs. I don't have enough time, you
Yeah.
know? So it is truly the way of the world. Like a day in Miami, like, oh, I'm the only one here, not Channel 7. Oh, that's fun.
That's awesome. And you must be so proud. I mean,
Yeah.
and you,
I am. Thank you
you
so
should be,
much.
of course.
I
So
didn't start the channel. It was my boss. So I give him props. You know, when I came in, he's like, I want you to do your journalism stuff. And I go, I'm very newsy, you know, so
yeah,
sometimes he would like stop recording and say, stop being newsy, be more fun. I'm like, I don't know how, but yes, I do. And then
be
and I
yourself.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to learn that. And I mean, even a podcast for me is like practice for speaking more. It's, you got to get out there, you got to ask the questions, you got to be fun, you got to be yourself. Because right now it's very easy to lose yourself by trying to appeal to people that probably don't even care. You know what I mean? Like, we're so worried about what everyone's thinking, but at the end of the day, everyone cares about themselves first. And I think we're like, oh, that's so selfish, I don't do that. Like, we do, we have to.
you have
As
to.
humans, you have to care about like yourself, but we have to stop thinking about what other people are thinking, whether it's in the gym, it's with podcasting endeavors, work, everything. It's like, we got to worry about ourselves. We got to stop thinking that everyone's thinking about us. That's the selfish thing. Think that everyone's thinking about me all the time.
Exactly. I love that. And
Yeah.
I always say this, I'm full of sayings, but like, you
Yeah.
know, in an airplane, when there's like low oxygen and
Yeah.
they say, you know, put it on yourself first before you put it on someone else or your kid. You can't help others if you don't help yourself first. And this
Amen.
message, I couldn't say it to young moms more often. I wish I could, because honestly, you're gonna if you're not happy, your kid's not gonna be happy.
Yep. At the end of the day, that's very true. And as a mom, I can say that that is extremely true, which is why, again, I'm doing this, I'm doing other things that fills me with joy, and I actually like doing, and it
Yeah,
causes some sparks and interest, because eventually something's going to stick, like, that's it. This is what it's supposed to be for me. But
exactly. And it takes
mhm,
time.
it does, to build the confidence. And I mean, from woman to woman, and what would you share to other women to help them build that assertiveness and confidence if they don't have it already, or don't know if they have it? What would your suggestion be to them?
Practice makes somewhat perfect because there's no such thing as perfect.
Hmm.
The more that you do it, the more confident that you'll be and the better that you are at it. But you got to do it. You got to just start doing it. Who cares what you sound like or look like, but just continue to do it. Because if
I
you
couldn't.
love it so much, isn't it worth to try to do it? I I can't tell you there's not one thing I haven't loved that I haven't done. When people look at my resume, they're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Wonder Woman." No.
Yeah, basically.
But because I do feel like I'm Wonder Woman. I don't
Yeah,
care if you think I'm Wonder Woman or not. If I think I'm Wonder Woman, I'm Wonder Woman.
I love that.
Yeah. Like, and it's not being conceited. Or because or I'm the first person to look at a beautiful woman like you, Alyssa, and say, damn, you're beautiful. Like, you're hot. Like, I'm the first person to say that. Like, nothing intimidates me. And nothing should intimidate anyone because everyone is created differently. Everyone is beautiful in their own way. And if
I
you
love
don't
that.
like something, work towards it. If you're feel a little bit fat, don't eat the pasta at night. See how you feel the next morning.
It's so true because at the end of the day, it's like usually your biggest critics are the people who are very hypercritical of everyone else is usually because there's a lack of something in their own life. You know,
Absolutely. Look,
whether, yeah,
it's true. When I moved to upstate New York
mhm,
and I really wanted the job with Channel 7, I had a little bit of a Latin accent. I was married to an American soldier. So I always used that, but that wasn't going to save me. I
yeah,
started, reading a lot more in English because I'm perfectly bilingual, Spanish or English, but I knew in order to get to where I wanted to be, I had to practice a lot more at whatever I wanted. And and then I didn't feel shy. Yes, my I do have an accent compared to the American reporters, obviously, but I worked hard as hell at it to let go of that accent. Now people when I speak in Spanish, they're like, "Wow, you speak Spanish?"
it's in my name. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So practice makes somewhat perfect. And don't think you're going to be perfect because you're not.
No, absolutely. And I would say never ever disparage against your culture or your name or your first language or anything like that. I was married to a Puerto Rican, so my son's half
Oh,
Puerto
wow.
Rican. So his first language is Spanish. So I mean, we used to speak, I wanted to be perfectly, so we actually met in Spain. We got our foreign jump wings together. So
No
he was
way.
like my personal translator at the same time. Like I was learning, like I knew enough to speak, like ask for things and things like that, but he was like the person translating and then we the rest is history. And here we are today. But
Love it. Oh, a
so
Puerto Rican.
yeah,
That would be pretty
spicy, spicy, spicy. So my son will always carry the legacy of the, when I had the Spanish fever, they say.
yeah. Hope it's short lived. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding,
No.
guys.
No, definitely love it. My kid,
Good.
he's like agua means water. That's like his extent. So I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's adorable. I
He's
do love Puerto Rico, though. I love Puerto
I
Rico.
love Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I know. I actually studied Spanish in college because I fell in love with the Spanish language. I absolutely love it. So I always say never, whatever your language is or whatever barrier you presume that, and if people judge it, I'm like, embrace that. It's a beautiful part of who you are. So
Oh, that's so nice.
yeah, it really is.
Where were
And
you in
yeah.
2011 when I needed you?
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. I know we should have met a long time ago because they're like my spirit animal. Like building strategies for life and making friends. But
I
yeah,
love it. Oh my
I
goodness.
know.
We met through Angelo, who's the South Florida Irreverent Warriors
Yes.
coordinator. Yeah.
And we're all meeting up this weekend at some point,
Yeah.
celebrating Memorial Day and, recognizing those that have fallen and something that we all take pride in. And it's such a great organization. And I can't wait to meet all of the people that share that camaraderie. They say they join together to fight, combat veteran suicide through humor and camaraderie. I'm like, I love that they add humor because these people have such personality. And that's what I miss so much about leaving the army because you lose yourself a little bit after transitioning. I know I did that loss of identity, which is
Yeah.
why I love when you say something about individualism. I'm like, I am a person outside of, the uniform or outside of even my job because it's easy to be like, so when someone meets you, it's like, hey, my name's Alyssa and I work here. Like, no, I don't care what you do for a living. What do you do for you? Who are you?
I love that. It's so
Like,
true.
and I've read about that too. I'm like, wow, why? Like, I even changed like my LinkedIn headline doesn't have anything about where I work. I'm like, U.S.
Oh,
Army veteran, podcast host of Risk Valor, and I'm a women's empowerment advocate.
that.
Nothing about where I work. Little things like that. I'm like redefining who I am outside of what I do for a living because those can be two completely different things. Now, to bridge myself to the point where what I'm doing for a living is also intertwined with my passion and who I believe I am, that's when I feel like I've reached success.
I love that.
So I'm gonna be like you one day, Anna.
Yeah.
I'm living
Well,
vicariously through you. Sorry,
oh,
I'm
thank you.
parched.
Yes, I know. No, it's okay. I drank a little bit of water before.
I know I'm like, well, but yeah, no. So I was gonna say, I know we talked about this recently too, and as we're talking about individualism, we've touched a little bit on relationships too. I know I talked to you about like my red flag list. So,
Yes, I love that list. Tell
and
me.
not only for relationships, but I like to share with people. So this is something that a friend actually told me. She was like, "Have you ever like, it started with relationships, and now I'm applying it to every aspect of my life. My red flag list. It started off with that. And she's like, have you ever had an actual list of like what you're looking for in a person and what you're absolutely not looking in a person for? So why don't you do that with your career? Do that with everything you're doing. Like, are there things that you absolutely have to have where you work, what you're doing as a passion, and or the relationships you have? And I'm
Yes.
like, that's something I'm doing now for myself in all aspects.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
awesome. I'm sorry, was that a question?
Oh no, I'm just like making. I don't know if you had something to say to it because I'm like, it's one of those things, and I'm like, it sounds so simple.
It sounds so simple. It's so funny because when you ask me, I'm like, shoot, I don't know what to say to that. That's a very difficult question because do I want to say yes? Like every job I have, like I want to
Hmm.
be allowed full creativity.
Yep.
That's what makes me happy and freedom. I don't believe having an 8 to 5 job, expecting me to be in the office to write a press release. No, I probably woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, wrote the press release. Now I'm sitting in my office doing absolutely nothing because I already did my work at 3 o'clock in the morning when my creativity just kicked in. So
Yep.
now I worked double time because I'm expected to sit here and do nothing. So
That's crazy.
that, yeah, it's ridiculous. I do not believe in that. I believe now because of COVID, so many things have changed. Like I don't believe an office is necessary. It's once a week maybe to have a team meeting and things like that. So I'm waiting for the DR in my name, doctor. I'm
Yep. Yep.
gonna start changing a lot of things here. I already have DeSantis on speed dial. If anybody knows, the best governor, Florida governor.
Hmm.
I've
Running for
already.
president, by the way, 2024.
That's right,
Yep.
absolutely. And I've already left him like a few voice messages. He probably thinks I'm crazy, but here I go again.
Yep.
We don't have enough sick days, and I can't express this more, especially for women. We have PMS. Some of us have PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is PMS on crack. Okay.
Okay. Wow.
So not only do we deal with the PMS, with the sadness, now we're double sad and we feel a lot more physical pain. So my message to DeSantis a few times now, maybe a dozen, we
That's
need
okay.
to pass a law to add mental health days, not just sick leave,
Yep.
sick days, mental health days. Because a lot of the times when I call in sick, no, I'm not physically sick. I'm mentally having a mini nervous breakdown for no reason because it's hormones.
Yep.
So I've learned to control it, as many women as we had to learn to control our emotions and just say these feelings are not real, it's just our hormones. But those days you don't want to go to work because
Yeah.
you may say something or do something out of the norm because somebody pissed you off at work. Now, I've never done it. Have I? Of course. Throw a stapler at
Never.
somebody's foot.
Throw on the keyboard. It's fine. Just jammed on it. We've all been there. Just stormed
Exactly.
off to nowhere.
Yes, I have. So
I have
sometimes,
to.
yeah, I'm like, look,
I need a break.
need a break. And that's the best thing in relationships as well. You will never hear me yell.
Hmm.
I will never raise my voice. That is one thing. The moment is heated, I will walk away and I'll come back when I'm ready. Because you're gonna say something you're gonna regret if you
And
stay.
that's harder to fix than if you just walk away and come back when you can think about things.
Exactly. And if your partner has attachment issues, just say, I promise I will be back.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
just 20
it
minutes.
exists. Yeah. I'm
Oh,
gonna go take a
absolutely.
walk, a run, something. I need to go punch my punching bag real quick.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
a lot of us, go through that. I will not nag someone. Your list is amazing because I learned a lot from that, like on things that you're looking for and things you're not looking for. And it took me a while. And I have a list. And sometimes, like I've told you, I've bended the rules.
Yep, me too.
Yeah. And where does it bring us? Where does it lead us? Back to zero.
And like some of us want to believe in the best in people, which is why we bend the rules, because we ourselves know that we're imperfect humans. So we assume that this is just a moment or this is just a thing. But sometimes those things are a lot larger. And I've noticed it when I tell someone else about it, I start to hear how insane it sounds. And then I'm like, now that I say it again, I feel like, yes, I realize that that's crazy.
Yeah,
So, but
exactly.
I did, before I forget, you talked about mental health days. So that's something I looked up recently for my own corporate job that I have. I was like, I was curious about sick days, vacation days, whatever, but I was like, leave of absence is only available to those who are like really, really sick, basically. And I'm like, well, what about just taking a mental break? We're allowed like 3 mental health days.
Wow, in your job?
Yeah.
So they need to bring this to Florida.
So when I saw that, I was like, okay, and it might be a state thing, it might be the corporate, because sometimes sick days are actually not protected by Texas law. So like we have them, but if a business doesn't, that's like up to them, is how I understand it.
Interesting.
Um, but I thought for a mental health day, I was like 3 days seems small to me, because I'm like, for me, I went through some really hard stuff recently where I was like, if I just had, I mean, it's crazy to be not crazy to me. I'm like, if I had 30 days, that sounds like a lot probably, but even a leave. So I was like, maybe a leave of absence, but it doesn't cover you to like
Mhm.
be able to come back. And I can see they probably think, oh, you're probably out job searching or this and that. I'm like, I just need to figure out where my place in the world is. Maybe I need to figure out, am I supposed to be here? Or maybe I'm dealing with a kid thing. I'm dealing with a personal thing. I'm trying to build on the side, because guess what? No corporate job. They haven't come to me to say I can't do a podcast. If they look on my LinkedIn, they're going to see I do a podcast, because
Right.
at the end of the day, that's what I'm doing for me. And you're not going to tell me what I do in my spare time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, and if they ever did say that, I'd be like, that's the sign from God that it's my time to leave.
Exactly.
Um, and
Absolutely.
and maybe I'm looking for a sign. I don't know, but it's like it's.
Ah!
But at the same time, I have a kid. I have other things I have to think about. I'm good at my job. I'm not a slacker. But at the same time, I'm like, mental health days only 3. I'm like, that's really not
In a year?
long enough. I think per year or something, and you have to like request them specially. And
Oh,
I just happened to read it. I was like, oh, that's so. I never thought to like ask for that. Um, because I am the boss at my location. So I'm like, do I approve it? Do I send it up higher? Like, how does that even work? But I think I think, and I know our ancestors would probably roll around in their graves if they heard that we need mental health days, because they're like, we were in freaking wars and like being killed and like we didn't have technology. We'd hear all these crazy things. But I'm like, with the age of technology, with the age of social media, with the different stresses we have, it's still very real to us. Where
absolutely.
it's
And a
a
lot of the
lot.
women did work back then too. I
Yeah.
mean, we're at home just being wives and mothers
Yeah.
back in the day. I mean,
That was
now,
your job.
yeah, exactly. That was just, yeah. But now you are expected to be a mother, a worker, and hopefully a wife again. So that's a lot. And I want to work, it's something I
Yep.
love doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not a stay-at-home wife. I
Anything.
tried it a few times because I couldn't find a job, but
I don't think I could do that. I actually was wondering, like, I have a lot of not even family, but all the women in my family work, including my mom. So I never was exposed to that, but I had a lot of friends that I met, military as well, as where I met a lot of stay-at-home moms.
oh
And
yeah.
there would be days where I was in the field for a week and I'm like, damn, I envy that. Like, I wish I could just be home while my husband like works. But then I was thinking about it, I was like, what would I do? I'm like, just clean, just take care of the kids, just make food. Like, I don't want that dependency to get to the point of where I'm existing for everyone else except myself.
Well, you're better than me because I was the worst young wife. I mean, I didn't even know how to, no, I was horrible. So I didn't even know how to fry an egg. I didn't know how to wash clothes. My ex husband taught me everything because my mom always said, go to school. And she did everything for us, which
Yep.
I'm grateful because I love school, you know?
You're
And
in
I'm
it
like,
again, so
yeah. I'm like, do I have to finish a PhD? Can I get a, no, I think I need a break. Like my
Yeah.
PhD has been the most emotional undertaken thing I've ever undertaken. I don't even know how to express that. I
Yeah.
cried so much. I thought marriage, divorce, all of that was a piece of cake
Yeah.
compared to my PhD. Like right when I start writing my dissertation, I start crying. I'm like, I haven't even written my first sentence. It's
That's so
because I'm,
real.
yeah, and the topic that I'm writing about, to help military wives, it's rehashing all those emotions, all those
Yeah.
feelings, so it's like double the emotional burden. But I'm happy. It's almost like I'm healing when I seal my degree. Like I've and now I could
Yeah.
really go to military base because like really what I want to do at the end of this is travel to different military bases, organizations, and have like how would you say, like support groups, like a weekend, not getaway, but a weekend educational program for the military wives. And it
Absolutely.
doesn't necessarily have to be like, it revolves around individualism, but join a gym, join a book club, join a wine club. Just
Yeah.
do things outside of just the marriage, because you and I are both ex-army. Well, me army, you are a Marine, right? I'm
It was
sorry.
Army.
Oh,
It
he
was
was Army.
Army. And we were dual military. Yeah. So
Yeah, ex-Army wives here. Whew.
mhm. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, like, what do you do after that? Because I was always in some type. I wrote, the newsletters for the military wives. I did the fundraisers while the boys were deployed. We would ship boxes. I was the head wife, so I had to communicate through all of it, through deployments, through the good, the bad, and although I didn't serve, I felt like I seriously served, because leaving that, I'm like, what do I do now?
Yeah, and that's so important. I mean, speaking from the military side, sometimes it was hard to find that what they call the family readiness group leader.
Yeah, that.
So like FRG, I remember finding people who really communicated well was hard. Like sometimes the phone tree didn't make it to everybody, or and it depends on the unit you're in, or if you have someone like you who's really dedicated to communicating. You love communicating inside and outside of personal life. It's personal and business for you, but
Yeah.
not every unit has someone like that. And so I can see why that's so important. I know you're kind of segueing, you're writing a book, something like along this premise too of what your paper's about
Oh yeah.
too.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm finding what works
Yep.
for the military wife, to help them, because now there's a rise with suicide with military wives. So
Yep.
it's sad to see that. And like I mentioned earlier, secondary PTSD is real, because not only do you have to mask your emotions as a military wife, because you can't show your spouse weakness, because he's already hurting. He's going away to war.
Yeah.
He can be killed in 5 seconds the moment he steps on land in Afghanistan. So you have to mask that. You have to be hard for them, but then you have to be hard for yourself.
Again, you have to come first, and it sounds selfish, but it's not. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else.
Yep.
And when you said that, I actually had a guy come into work today. So where I work, I'm right outside Fort Hood. So
Oh
Army
wow.
base,
Okay. Okay.
right outside of it, right in the heart, like the town right outside. And there was a guy who came in and asked if he could put a poster for a missing soldier up. And so it turns out that he told us the story that this soldier, his wife had just committed suicide. So a military spouse just committed suicide. Now this guy has gone missing and
Oh.
everyone's looking for him. Just happened today. So
Oh.
the fact that you bring up the spousal piece of it, there is so much that we don't. And this is a young soldier too. So a specialist, I believe, something like that.
So young.
Um, very, very young. These guys are early 20s,
Yeah.
sometimes younger. Um, and it was very sad because I got emotional. I didn't like break down, but my eyes like well up because I'm talking to some of the guys. There's only one other veteran who works with me, so he kind of understood. But the biggest thing was that I was just explaining, I'm like, when I served, there was memorials we had to go to for people that committed suicide who were just in garrison in the rear, not even deployed yet. Some of them were deployed, some of them weren't. We've had KIAs that we've had to go to memorial services for. I mean, there's a lot of death. And the thing is, it affects everyone in a different way. And I got really emotional like talking about it.
Of
And then I
course.
got emotional talking about Irreverent Warriors. I'm like, well, Memorial Day, people will go like, hooray, happy Memorial Day. I'm like, it's a day where you remember the people that sacrificed their lives. I'm not saying definitely enjoy your families, have a good time, but just remember why we have this day. Just think about like the fact that you're able to have the party with your family, you're able to have these great sales at stores is because there's people who laid their lives down for what they believed in, for their family, for the people behind them, for the country. So now that
I
we're wrapping into Memorial Day, I'm happy that I'll be spending it with a bunch of veterans.
I know.
And yeah,
Every year, I'm so glad that you're flying in to Florida, and I can't wait to meet you in
I
person.
know.
You
I'm so
know, and
excited.
it's crazy. I had a young girl employee. She came up to me. She's like, "I know that you're an ex-army wife, and this makes me so sad."
Oh,
And
yeah.
she goes, "Can I? Is it wrong to say Happy Memorial Day? Come and have like 15% off dinner." She was doing like an ad,
Yeah.
and I would say in honor of Memorial Day, and she goes, you know, and so like even me, like I don't always want to be sad. You and I have had
Yeah.
friends that have died, and like I'm friends with these army wives, and there's nothing you could say.
There
Nothing.
isn't.
My husband came back home, yours didn't. Like, I'm so sorry to hear. Like, they don't. They, yeah,
They've heard that 1,000. Yeah. It won't
I'm
bring
so
them back at the end of the
yeah,
day.
it won't bring them back, and it's just so sad. So I posted a few things on social media. I'm like, thank you, heroes, for giving me this amazing day. This workout is for you. So I'm at the beach smiling,
Mhm.
like it's sad, but also like thank you for the paying the ultimate sacrifice.
Yep. Every rep is for one of the soldiers in the sky. You know what I mean? That's what they always say. We'd always do an extra one
I love
for,
that.
yeah. So it is very emotional. And I know I'll probably get emotional hearing Angelo's speech and everyone else's speeches.
Oh God, yes, I
Um, like I'm gonna be like, someone hand me a tissue type thing. Cause I get, I get emotional when I hear God bless the USA.
oh my God, yeah, I
Like I
absolutely.
will cry. Like I'm not even kidding. I just love this country. I am a huge patriot and it all makes me emotional. And that's why I served. I was like, I had such a feeling when I was in high school that I was like, why am I so like emotionally charged about the military? Which is why I still need to have pieces of it in my life. I think I was missing that when I left. I just have to be a part of the community, which is I'm really happy I found all these people to participate in events and laugh and cry and everything because it's so important, especially with how the country is this day, which I know some viewers will agree or disagree on what they think about the world, but I'm very appreciative of all those who have served, all of
Absolutely.
those who have even the spouses who have done so much for the rear and the it's a huge community, the supporters. So
Absolutely. And they took me on Reverend Warriors as like their little female
I
warrior.
love that.
Yeah. And in one competition, I got to compete under the military status because of everything I've done with the military
Wow.
community. That was such a huge honor to me because it meant so much. And I won first place before I turned
Wow.
40. I said I would, and I did.
uh, Hell yeah. See, she's a little badass over here.
Yeah. And the book that I'm writing is for all military spouses, ex military spouses, veteran military
Mhm.
spouses, KIAs, MIAs, name it, everything. There's something for everyone in my book because I want to open the community because especially ex army wives, like we're left very like, when you apply for government jobs,
Yep.
there's no ex army wife. I'm like, well, I'm not a veteran wife anymore. I'm not you know what I mean? So I'm like,
But you
come on.
did your time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You
So
100% did.
I kind of want to change that too.
Hey, you know what? That you got to be the change you want to see in the world. That's what they say.
I know.
But I honestly could speak forever to you, and I'm so excited to meet you in person and to share that special day with a lot of veterans and other spouses and everyone that supports the military. But I would just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on here, for opening up, for sharing your story and your adversity. I think there's a lot that women can learn and continue to learn from you with your book, with your website, with everything you're doing. So share with the audience real quick where they can find you and where they can check in on that stuff.
Perfect. So my website for bodybuilding is dranabelfitness.com. My blog that I have until I write my book is The Silent Life of an Army Wife. Wow, Jesus. Say that out loud.
I know.
You'll understand why I chose that topic. Just go on my social media and you'll find all the links there in case I forgot any. DR, Dr. Annabelle TV host. And there on my LinkedIn profile, you'll see everything. And we'll share it on, I'm sure, on the comments below.
Yep. As well. We will do that. Everything will be there for everyone to follow you and support and to be there. And you're going to do amazing things. You're going to continue to do amazing things. I know you have a lot of goals that we didn't even touch on. You seriously are a true Wonder Woman, and I am absolutely honored to have you on here and to meet you and to be friends with you, to call you a friend. And just thank you so much for your time.
Alyssa, thank you for your time, and you are Wonder Woman with blonde hair.
Hey, there we go. I'll take it.
That's right.
I love it. One baddie to another. But thank you again, and everyone, good night. This has been Risk Valor.